Hey, how is everybody doing out there? We're back. It's Senior Solutions keeping up with us today. And we're very pleased today to be able to meet with one of our CARES groups in Windham County. That's Guilford CARES. And here to talk to us today about what they do for the community, how they organize with some of the services that they're able to provide and let's just jump right in and say hi to our special guest, Leah Gessner. Leah, hi, how you doing?
Hi, I'm good, and I'm very pleased to be able to represent Guilford CARES and the other CARES groups in Windham County.
Well, we're happy to have you. And, we're also should like to tell the public, Windham County, I think, started with establishing CARES groups as a response to, neighbors in need. So we want to congratulate you on that level and also give you an opportunity to explain to us, what is a CARES group?
Well, CARES groups kind of spring up in Windham County anyway, because people suspect and experience concern about the fact that their neighbors and family and friends are, when they age, may have difficulty staying in their homes safely and happily, because they may lose the ability to drive. They become isolated, and the and support services can be daunting in terms of overlap and complexity and so forth. So various concerned people in these little rural towns in place like Windham County decided that it didn't have to be that way, that we could really improve the quality of life for older people in the community. And that, by the way, is defined as 60 and over. You don't have to be 90 years old to benefit from our services and programs. And so we're really interested in helping with support services, but also helping older people have dignity in how they fill their needs, and a sense of security about staying at home in the town that they love, in the neighborhood that they love, as long as possible. We find that for other people living in the town who may not require the services yet, it gives them a sense of well-being as well, because we all feel in the back of our minds that there are people out there that we should be helping. So that can be a nebulous kind of territory. If you have an organization like a CARES group, we can act as a hub, so that there's one number to call. And if we can help directly, we will, but we also keep ourselves updated and apprised of what referral services are out there that would be helpful. And of course, at the top of the list is Senior Solutions.
Well, thanks. We appreciate that too, because, as you are well aware, many of our older Vermonters, especially those who live maybe out in the rural areas like Windham County, they don't like to ask for help from governmental or organizations per se, but the CARES groups, because they are living in the community, it's more like a word of mouth. It's people who know each other. And that is so important to, I think, a lot of our older population, that they trust the person that they reach out to. And that's where I think the CARES groups are so key.
That's a really important point you just made, Joanne. And there is a sense, for instance, the Guilford CARES gets some support from the town of Guilford, along with private donations. And every year at the town meeting, when Guilford Cares comes up for a vote for our allocation, someone will stand up, or sometimes a number of folks will stand up and say, there's probably no one in town who hasn't been touched in some way by Guilford Cares. And that is precisely because we are right here. We know as many people as we can, and we're our boots on the ground all the time. So it is a huge difference.
It really is. It really impresses me. There's a lot of things that I want to have you touch on today, but I do want to make sure that I stress to you to remember that Senior Solutions is here to help you. You guys do tremendous work. You can do things that we actually can't do because you're right there. But when you need help, if you need additional resources, please understand that to us, you are primary partners. And I think, working together, if we can't figure it out, I don't think the answer's out there. Between the CARES groups and the Council on Aging here at Senior Solutions, and our many, other helpers like RSVP and many, many places, we all love to work together because it really makes the network. And that's how we can support all of our aging Vermonters. We can't wait for the government to do it. We can't do it maybe individually, but together we really can make a difference in people's lives and just support them. So I'm going to ask you another question specifically. I know that you have all different kinds of services that you provide. And if you want to go through a few of them, what about rides and shopping services?
Mm-hmm. Well, we, as you said, Joanne, one of the trickiest parts of doing this work is convincing people that they should call for help. So we'd like for even more people to take advantage of it, but we do have a group of volunteers who are ready to go to pick people up, to take them to medical appointments or on shopping errands, and wait for them and then bring them home. All of that service is door to door, and very easy to take advantage of. We actually try to keep all the calls for Guilford Cares centralized at our 579-1350 number, which is a landline in my house. So the Guilford Cares office is my house. We do not have any bricks and mortar. That actually makes for a challenging situation for some of the services that I'll talk about. But in terms of being easily reached almost any time, Guilford Cares is really ready and willing to help, because it's very hard to stick to, say, a 9 to 4 work day. And actually, as a staff person, it's supposed to be a half a day, because the phone rings in the house, and I love doing the work. So we tend to give a lot of hours of service, and we're really easy to reach. And we'd love even more people to call for help. But in addition to someone calling for a specific date, we also have a regular Tuesday shopping trip, so that people can know that, oh, it's Tuesday and there's going to be someone coming and going for shopping. And if I call ahead of time, I can give them a list, or I can go on a ride and they will pick the groceries up for me, or I can go up and down the aisles and they'll help me. So we have 2 dedicated volunteers who take turns running that Tuesday shopping trip. I'd like to add more. volunteers, but at the moment we can fit everyone who wants to take a ride for shopping on the Tuesday
Nice.
morning trip in one car. But
Oh, nice.
it is a wonderful service, and it tends to be a bonding service for the people who participate. They get to know each other, and they do look forward to the shopping trip.
Oh, I think that's a wonderful service. And because it's local, it's not like you have to drive far away to get people or to do it. You keep it centralized in the Guilford area, which
Mhm.
is a lot more efficient. You know, we have the little public bus transportation system, but they can only do so much because they cover such a large area. So they can't accommodate everybody all the time. Whereas, you know, when it's a local community-based service, they have a lot better access to it. And I have
Yeah.
to say, you know, when you're talking about, you can't run, you know, the CARES group from 8 to 4, because one thing I know, and I'm sure most of our viewers know, when an emergency comes up or somebody needs something, it's very rarely during business hours.
That's
So,
true. Of course, we advertise that we're not we don't provide
right.
emergency services, but often it's something like someone realizing, oh my gosh, my mother's coming home from the hospital tomorrow, and I didn't get that walker that she's going to need. And so we can fill those requests very quickly.
No, I mean, you can't
That
do
sort of
everything,
thing.
but I know you try.
Yeah.
You
So.
want, would you like to give your number out again one more time?
Sure, that's 802-579-1350.
Thank you.
And and it's on our website at guilfordcares.com. Pretty easy to remember.
That's great. I love an easy email address, truthfully. Well, Leah, that's an interesting service that you guys do. And I guess you mentioned the walker, which is something else you do. It's like equipment loans. Would there
Yeah,
be like assistive devices and things like that?
the medical equipment loan has been part of the original services that were provided when Guilford Cares was founded, which, by the way, was back in, well, it was 2004, really, when two community nurses here in Guilford decided that this was a need that needed to be filled. And so their mission is what we've described. And they, at the very start, were providing community nursing because they're nurses themselves, and medical equipment, and they happen to have a barn attached to their house. So
Ooh,
it
that's
was
handy.
convenient for them, and being community nurses and having had worked at the hospital and various doctor's offices, they knew they had a lot of connections, and they were able to create an inventory of medical equipment fairly quickly. That has grown in the last couple of years significantly. And that is one service that we do provide outside of Guilford to the greater Guilford area, Brattleboro, and really anywhere in Windham County if someone is able to get here and pick up the equipment. So
Nice.
anybody can call for that. And it's recycled or donated equipment. We don't get too large, but we have a large supply of walkers, canes, crutches, raised toilet seats, porta potties, shower benches, and wheelchairs. Those
Wow.
are our major items. And we find that the reason we're so busy is that with the aging population, people are having an enormous number of, corrective surgeries for shoulder problems and hip and knee
Oh,
replacements,
yeah.
joint replacements, and they all need a certain number of items, just standard practice. And
Sure.
the visiting nurses and the hospital case managers and the nursing homes in the area and physical therapists all have Guilford Cares number, and they do refer their patients to Guilford Cares for getting items that are not covered through medical insurance, or to bridge the gap, because sometimes it takes a while to get the equipment through the bureaucracy, and so we
Sure.
can supply it. It's of course free of charge, and we just hope that people will return the equipment if they don't need it anymore, and we just keep recycling it.
Good. Oh, that's excellent. I'll bet you're on a lot of people's speed dial. But you're right,
Yeah.
and something popped into my head, which may or may not be based in truth. I'm thinking that one of the reasons that so many of us in Vermont get our knees and hips and elbows and shoulders replaced because we're very active, and you don't need these assistive devices for long, but to help get you back on your feet and do your physical therapy, they're important so that you're safe, so you don't tip over while you're, getting used to walking again. And then they can redonate them back to Guilford Cares when they're done with them and
That's
pass
right.
them along to other people.
And we can supply rides to the physical therapy appointments. Sometimes
Ooh,
that's onerous because the
yeah.
therapist will give you a calendar of maybe 6 or 8 visits, and now you have to get transportation to those visits. So
Mm.
we also can be very helpful that way too.
I love it. I love everything you're telling me. And I think the people that are watching this are going like, ooh, that's a good idea.
Now,
So
we are fortunate in that medical equipment inventory takes a lot of space. And as I
mm,
mentioned, we don't have our own building, but luckily I have a trailer on my property right near my house where currently Guilford Cares is using that to store the
ah,
medical equipment. It's also very convenient for me to be here to coordinate pickup and return. So
wonderful.
we're in very good shape that way. We always
Yeah.
have our eyes and ears open for possibilities for better locations, but for now it's working well for
I'm
us.
glad to hear that. Glad to hear that. Well, you did mention, yeah, you had 2 nurses who started, you know, the equipment loans. Do you currently have any community nurses?
Yes, unfortunately, the 2 nurses were Susan and Richard Davis. They're very well known in the community, and Susan passed away. I don't know, it could be, for instance, I think it may have been as much as 10 years ago, and it was quite a while ago. Richard remained active for quite a while, but he retired a couple of years ago.
Yep.
But after he did, we have been able to fill that community nurse position with other people. That is a contract position for us. Because we want the community nurse to be a registered nurse.
Yeah.
Normally it's a retired person who we'd expect to be able to work 10 to 12 hours per month.
Hmm.
And we pay, I think, a competitive rate for
Good.
home visits. All the visits are at the home with some phone checkup if
Nice.
necessary. That's for people who either have chronic illnesses or recovering from a surgery, and may have a wound that needs to be checked. People who
Sure.
are taking a lot of medications and need to be reassured that they are not getting confused
Oh, good.
with
Good.
medications, or it's really a very ad hoc thing. People will, very often a family member will call and say, could the nurse drop in? I'm concerned about this person. And if
Mhm.
that may become a weekly visit or
Oh,
a once a month drop in.
mhm.
It's sort of a combination of a friendly visit but someone with extra skills who
Yeah.
can see if someone is having swelling in the lower
Oh,
legs
good
due to
idea.
poor circulation,
Mhm.
wounds that aren't healing that really should be looked at the wound clinic, get some professional attention. Our nurse can give actually shops if necessary. So that's the kind of thing that we think is that we can manage with our budget, and we're really pleased that we have that service. We went for about a
that's
year.
great.
We had difficulty filling it the last time
Uh-huh.
we needed to. We went a whole year without a community nurse. Then we got someone who retired with lots of experience in this very work and years of experience with BAYADA, professional nursing home care providers. So she didn't want to retire completely. This was exactly what she loves to do when our clients love her. So that again is something where you have to just know the community and keep
Yep.
the word out there. And someone who was taking my Tai Chi class told me
Oh,
she knew that this person was retiring. And she said, maybe you want to give her a call, and it worked out. So
wonderful.
word of mouth for sure.
Yeah, there you go. It worked for everybody. Well, this is really interesting. I hate to keep asking you questions, but there's just so much that we want to cover. I hope you don't mind.
No, it structures me better.
Okay. I was going to ask you, you also run a food pantry?
Yes, that's a huge kind of a signature service of ours. We do a combination of shopping for food with from our budget and using the Vermont Food Bank as much as possible, and also local farm in season. We use a lot of local farms and just neighbors donating extra produce. So we have lots of fresh produce in
Well,
season.
I have to tell you, when I was living in Londonderry, I remember in the summertime, if I went to the marketplace, if I didn't lock my car, when I came out, there would be zucchini sitting on the
Zucchini.
passenger seat. So,
Sometimes,
well, everybody's garden, we wait all summer, June, July. Then when like mid-August, everybody's garden bursts into production. And we suddenly all have more than we can handle. And it's wonderful that people share. And
it
through
is,
the
yes.
pantry, it's the ideal pipeline to do that.
Now, currently, we're open only one day a week on Thursdays from 5 to 6.
Where are you located?
At that point, at that time, people just stream in and pick up groceries and leave. We would love to be open more, but as I told you, we have no space of our own.
Right.
And we had been using the Broadbrook Community Center, which is the
Okay.
old Grange building in Guilford, and they are undergoing an extensive renovation. And so last March, we had to move out of actually March a year ago, we had to move out of that. And luckily the Guilford Country Fair Committee offered a building that they have on the fairgrounds.
Oh,
And we've been
nice.
using that. It happens to be the first aid building that the firemen use during the annual fair in case of emergency, but it's big enough for us to have good storage and refrigerators and freezers.
Nice.
And since COVID, we've been doing curbside shopping. We give shoppers a list
Okay.
of items available. It's a pretty long list. They sit in their car and check off everything they want, run it into the first aid building, and volunteers in there fill the bags according to the list, and then a runner brings the groceries out to the car. So for now,
nice.
even with the opening up, we're continuing to do the curbside because we don't have space in our current digs to have people come in and browse. But it's working out well. And that's
Nice.
a dream of ours, to have space where we could accommodate, say, the medical equipment and the pantry. We can have the pantry open more hours and so forth, but we're making it do for now. But that is a very important program.
Yes, it is. It's important for everybody.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
And
Well,
we do.
go ahead.
And I would just like to say we have a food pantry that we sponsor at the Guilford Central School. So
Hmm,
they have a very large closet room that they stock with groceries, and families know that they can go in there and get some things to take home. So that expands the program a little bit for us too.
that's terrific. So you're really able to serve a broad spectrum of your community.
Mhm.
That's
Yes,
that's
yes.
wonderful. Wonderful. Boy, I'm learning a lot. I feel like coming down to Guilford again. Um, you mentioned that you teach Tai Chi classes.
Yeah, well, thank you. Thanks to Senior Solutions.
And we're
They,
starting a new Tai Chi training program. So if people want to go to our website, they can learn about that. But let's hear from you. What was your experience with Tai
well,
Chi?
it must have been, I'm trying to think back about how I must have heard from Senior Solutions that they were
Yeah.
doing training in Tai Chi in collaboration with Tai Chi Vermont.
Mhm.
And I was really interested in that. And because when I became executive director, I was hoping to expand the wellness programs um, along with the other services that we've been talking about.
Mhm.
So I thought that Tai Chi was be very appropriate for our audience.
Sure.
And Senior Solutions sponsored my training, and I'm going to a required recertification training next week
Wow.
under the auspices of Senior Solutions. And
Yay.
that's a $300 tuition that'd be difficult for me to cover. And I'm really thankful that Senior Solutions is providing that.
Well, we're
And
thankful that people like you actually do train and, carry forward the Tai Chi exercise programs.
now the interesting thing for Guilford Cares is that we don't have senior housing in town, or assisted living, or any facilities that have communal space that can be used for classes. And so again, we have to house the Tai Chi classes wherever. I don't have a captive audience of people living in one place that I can
Right.
go, and they come down the corridor and they all come to the class. So it's a challenge to draw people
Yeah.
in from their houses to come every week to Tai Chi. And the other thing is that, again, we were holding those at the Broadbrook Community Center, which we don't have access to now and didn't last year for another year. Again, the Guilford Fairgrounds came to our rescue, and they offered one of their pavilions called the Cow Barn. It's at the fair. They have cows on display there, but it's a giant cement platform that has a wonderful roof over it, and open to the sides, but it's
Oh,
a
nice.
overhanging roof. And you can have a thunderstorm or 90-degree weather and still meet there, because it's shady and dry. So we've actually been
Yeah.
absolutely ecstatic there. It's a gorgeous location, just scenically. And we've been
And
very comfortable.
it seems
So,
like with open air, it's also COVID safe.
right. So for now, that's been serving us beautifully.
Hmm.
I'm doing my best to scout around to how I can continue during the winter months. We can practice even in our down jackets, but once we need plowing or sanding, we may be in trouble at the fairgrounds because we don't have those services. But we're hoping to find alternative space, but we've been
Nice.
having a ball there for now. So there are ongoing beginner classes in Tai Chi, and I've had some really marvelous experiences with people who have been doing it for a few years now and swear up and down that their balance and strength really has improved. So
Very nice.
it's definitely a joy to see that. Yeah.
That sounds just wonderful, really. That's good. Congratulations. And thank you for continuing to spread the Tai Chi message. So I would like to just make one little plug, though, as long as I've got everybody's attention. I'll give them Wendy's contact information in case there's anybody out there that's interested in following your example and learning how to train others in Tai Chi. So if anybody out there would like to learn more about the upcoming training sessions, they could contact Wendy at 1-802-755-7295. You can call that number, text it. She also has some video capability, but I'm not sure how to get to her from that. So yeah, talk to Wendy. She'll give you all the details, and you can join people just like Leah who enjoy the exercise themselves and enjoy teaching others how to get stronger and have better balance.
Well said. So, well said.
Now, maybe you'd like to put a call out for some new volunteers for the CARES group.
We're always very, very interested in expanding our volunteer base. I have to say that in the I inherited when I started working. I started as a volunteer for Guilford Cares, became a coordinator on a contract basis, and then moved into this staff position. And during that, and I inherited a list of volunteers at that time. I was somewhat new to Vermont, having come here in 2003. And so that list was invaluable to me. Well, if I go down that original list now, there are very few people who haven't aged out, moved out, or unfortunately died. And so I've been actively, of course, working on continuing to replace people who are no longer can do volunteer work, and also to try to engage younger people to pay it forward for a couple of reasons. I think they've moved to Guilford because they love the rurality of it. And this is a wonderful way to participate in the town and get to know tons of people quickly. Also, there's a variety of jobs that can be done from phone work, which is really important, especially these days, and providing transportation and help in the home, so forth. And taking and also having young people have family members who need attention and could use, and they could use respite. Very often, because people have family, they feel they should be using their family and not calling Guilford Cares. And that's just the opposite. The family members deserve a break, and we're very glad to provide that. So there's not an overlap there. We don't consider that to be an overlap. Another really valuable, by the way, thing that we haven't mentioned is that there are tough old Vermonters living here in town whose families don't live anywhere near, and who become very concerned about them as they get older. And when they realize they can call Guilford Cares and talk to me about setting up services or what's available or how we can help, that is a huge relief for them. And we do quite a bit of that as well.
Sure.
So, but the volunteer corps is strong, and we'd like to keep it that way. So yes, don't hesitate to call. One pet project that I'm going to be working on very hard this fall and winter is to formalize our ability to connect with the 60 and over community in Guilford in an organized way. Right now, a lot of it is an informal check-in with people and just keeping tabs on people by constantly keeping in touch. But it's what I'd like to do is work on dividing the town more formally into neighborhoods, identifiable neighborhoods, and making calls either in person or on the phone. Have volunteers who live in those neighborhoods make calls and establish regular check-ins.
Kind of like a modular system.
So yes.
Each module will have a dedicated leader, I would say. And that way, if they, and also that would help too, because that's like your first line of defense if people need help. Then too, if they reach out and there's things that module can't handle, then they can go to the larger overall Guilford Cares community. Yeah.
Also, we want to do fun programs, social programs.
Connectivity is so
these volunteers can get the word out fast, because one thing about a small town like ours is that there are very few places to post things publicly and to get the word out. We use Front Porch Forum quite a bit.
So Leah, you have a lot of great volunteers, but it is important for us to know that volunteers can be any age. And if you want to put your phone number out again for Guilford Cares, let's encourage older people, younger people, even people who are working but have a couple of hours a week that they're willing to share their time and provide some of these, helpful services. We know at Senior Solutions from doing data research and so forth, volunteering doesn't just help the people that we serve. Volunteering does good things for the volunteers. They get connected to the community. Their physical and mental health improves. It benefits them in many ways, just as it benefits people who don't get much interaction. So what's your contact information?
Okay, that's all very true. And so the phone number is 802-579-1350. I will be the person that will be answering the phone and talking to. So nice. I would love to have a conversation. The email is guilfordcaresvt@gmail.com. And you can communicate with me also through the website, guilfordcares.com.
Nice. And, just because some of the services that Leah has outlined for us maybe doesn't match up exactly to what you or your loved one's needs are, you can still call and ask and inquire. And like Leah says, have a conversation. Sometimes if people are feeling left out or they're getting bored and lonely, sometimes just having a phone conversation is all it takes. And getting matched up with the right volunteer can make all the difference in the world. So, don't be afraid to ask and call our helpline as well at Senior Solutions, because we always say, we can't help you unless you call.
And you'll probably send them to me.
There you go. We will, but trust me, we're not going to play ping pong with you. You're going to get plenty of help. And maybe you want to volunteer, so we'll both want you. The helpline number locally is, of course, 1-802-885-2669. And we answer the phone from about 8:30 till 4 o'clock. We also have a toll-free number, because like Leah has explained, so many of the older Vermonters have family members who are younger, but they don't live in Vermont anymore. These are the people who very often call and express concern about their mom, dad, or grandmother or other relatives. So for out-of-town people, or you want to share this, if you call 1-866-673-8376, that is toll free, and that people can call from anywhere in the country and get a hold of us. And we will get, if we can't answer the phone and you get our answering service, we will call you back within 48 hours to make sure that we speak directly with you and find out what your needs are. So between Guilford Cares and Senior Solutions, we've got your back.
I'd also just like to add that there are many times that I have a conversation like that with someone who calls and learn new things that I can use to help other people. Some service that they found that I wasn't aware of, or some kind of solution. So phone calls are always very welcome.
Yeah, if we don't know the problem exists, we can't help. But once we hear about it, we'll figure out ways to get you some information and help. So I just want to make sure that I put one other piece of information out there, and that is that right now, Senior Solutions is expanding our services to include caregiver respite volunteers. So we are putting a call out for volunteers who we will train and support and mentor, who can spend between 2 and 4 hours helping keep an eye on somebody's loved one, because the family caregivers, it's a 24/7 job. Many of them have given up their careers and their jobs to stay home and take care of a loved one. So the state can't provide enough home workers. We don't have the young people, and we don't have the amount of money in the state to give them a big enough salary to entice new people. So we're going to try to fill somewhat of the gap by at least giving a little respite to caregivers, so they can, go have lunch with a friend, go to the dentist, and not worry that you're going to be under anesthesia longer than you want to leave your loved one alone. You don't have to leave them alone. We're starting to get this group together and we'll be training everybody. So give us a call. I'm going to say the 885 number, because that's our local number, 885-2669, and say you want to volunteer. And make sure you call Leah's number at Guilford Cares, because the bottom line is we all care. We all want our neighbors, friends, and relatives to be as healthy as possible, as safe as possible, and as comfortable as possible. And I will say one more shout out. I don't know how many of you use Coda and Coda for your oil. They did something really nice for us. They put our helpline number on the top of their latest invoices that went out to every home in Windsor and Windham County that they serve. So that if you have problems getting money to pay your heating bill, make sure you call us so we can try to sign you up for fuel assistance. So that will help you. It'll help Coda and Coda collect on their bills sometimes, and it helps us get the word out. So I want to thank them for that and encourage you to call us for whatever you need. Trying to think if we've left anything out. Can you think of anything, Leah?
I think you covered everything very well.
Well, I don't know, but we sure try, right?
I
Oh,
might say that the original, when Susan and Richard Davis were founding Guilford Cares, there were some visionary people in the county who were already playing with this idea. Ronnie Friedman in particular in Westminster, and Putney Cares people, and they got together a lot and shared ideas and learned from each other, and kind of all got started around the same time. But as you mentioned early in the program, these particular CARES groups are fairly unique. There are other people doing other good works of all
yeah.
kinds in the community, but this particular CARES group model works well if you have people in a community who want to do it this way. It's it's very, very personalized and effective. So.
Yeah, it is. It's just a really feel good type of organization, and it feeds upon itself. The more good you do for people, the more you want to do, because you really get an amazing amount of positive feedback, even for Senior Solutions. And I don't really do anything, I just talk. But what was it, a week or so ago, when Senator Bernie Sanders came to Springfield, I said, I'm going to go and thank him, because remember when he had the pictures taken about him sitting at the inauguration with mittens, and he took all the money that he made selling t-shirts and sweatshirts with that picture on it, he gave that to the Meals on Wheels programs in Vermont. Okay. And I thought, we should recognize that publicly. And I had a big thank you banner that we used for our Volunteer Appreciation Day. I hung it on the fence by the river there at the park where he was going to speak. And
that's great.
oh yeah. So, but when I got up and spoke and thanked him, on my way back to my seat, I had several people say, you people do a good job. And that makes your heart swell to know that you're making a difference. And I'm sure there are so many people in Guilford who feel that way about Guilford Cares. And I just want to say thank you to you and all your fellow volunteers who are just making a world of difference to people who sometimes, unfortunately, because they're isolated, they're out of sight, out of mind. And, the fact that you're there and you know people and you talk to them and you help them, it makes a huge difference. And that helps the whole community. Thank you.
Thank you, Joanne. I couldn't have said it better. And again, it was my pleasure doing this interview. And I hope that people learn something and they will respond.
I hope so too. So thanks again. And I'm sure I'll see you somewhere. And if not, maybe someday I'll be in one of your Tai Chi classes.
Wow, that would be cool. I'll put you to work.
Oh, good. All right. Thanks, Leah. Take care.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye, everybody. And see you next time. And hopefully next time you won't have to just have me as your host. Jim will be back with me, and we'll be talking to some more CARES groups and hopefully bringing you more helpful information for people who are 60 and over and disabled. So stay tuned for the next show. We love you and see you soon. Bye from Senior Solutions.